What up, council? Well, let me open this up. There we go.
What's up, Valente?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Cool.
I have a request.
Yeah.
I think that when people aren't here, we should have a red X over their face when they on the intro screen.
Yeah. So AJ is working this weekend, so she's a little tired and not joining us tonight, but which is understandable. If I was working, I wouldn't want to work.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's a perfectly good reason. I am not complaining about that part at all. I just think it would be funny.
Yes. Sir not appearing in this film.
Or maybe like if we did a little animation where like it shows him then a stamp, boom, canceled.
Well, it's like Monty Python's Holy Grail, Sir not appearing in this film.
Exactly right. So I'm going to go back and forth. I got a little bit of a sore throat, so I'll be drinking more of the backbone bourbon.
That'll clear up the throat.
It's the special Jorgensen edition.
Very nice. In the drug of choice.
Yeah, but I also have a big thing of water too.
Very nice. All right, so a little bit of housekeeping before we get out of here or get underway tonight. So this week, people may have seen me as the man behind the curtain during the Vermin Supreme Super Tuesday. I was producing the show. It was a little rough at the beginning. We had some audio issues. I put myself on screen a couple of times. Oops, sorry about that. But it was a very interesting interview with the chair of the Libertarian Party, Angela McArdle. Let's roll a couple of clips in case you missed it, because it was a dumpster fire.
I am excited to see this because I have to admit I didn't watch it live, and then I watched maybe 30 seconds of the beginning of it afterwards. Entirely too much David Valente on my screen. I just turned it off.
It's kind of scary. But anyway, here's a cut when we were talking about why should Vermin be in the Libertarian Party, and because of the bigotry and the anti-Semitism. So here's a clip. We call it German New Insanity.
All right.
Like, it was weird. All of a sudden on the same week, everybody was like, I got this cough going on. And I'm like, how come I'm hearing that from like 50 different people? Well, now I get it. Viruses go around real quick or whatever, but some of these people didn't know each other, you know?
Yeah.
I'll be careful how I phrase it because of where we're streaming to. But if you want to go down a rabbit hole on health, you can look into German New Medicine, which is a very different view of germ theory and virology and the whole thing with health.
What the fuck? What the fuck is that shit? That's fucking insane.
I love Vermin.
Vermin pulls his punches. So did he set it up to play that video, or
I cut that was I actually made those videos.
Okay, so you had the thing, and then Vermin said, Dave, roll that video. You rolled the video.
I rolled the video.
Got it.
And this was a cut after the show that I added the very lovely theremin music in the background, which I think enhanced the experience there.
That's pretty. So we should clarify too. People don't have to take Angela's advice and look up German New Medicine.
No, don't.
German New Medicine is a theory that the Jews are keeping all the good healthcare for themselves and promoting fake healthcare that is hazardous to other people to kill them off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a Jewish person, I wish Angela hadn't given that away.
Well, here's the funny thing. They talk about in German New Medicine how Jewish people don't take vaccines, which was absolutely insane in the face that of the COVID vaccine, like the countries that did the COVID vaccine the most, Israel was like the top. And not just the first one or the second one, but the third and fourth boosters
But and also it was mandated, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we say, oh, a lot of people bitch about vaccine mandates here. There actually were no vaccine mandates here in the United States.
No.
I mean, there was, if
Professionally.
if your employer required you to have one, then you had to get one. But there's no law. You wouldn't go to jail.
It wasn't government
Exactly.
enforced. It was employer enforced, which,
Right.
if
Israel
you're living
was
in a libertarian society, like that would be, acceptable because that is not enforced from the government. That's our
right.
beat.
Yep.
So, and employment is a voluntary association. So,
Yep.
yeah.
So what was her response to that?
Her response was, yeah, well, this is, she really kind of skipped over the response. She was like, yeah, you're just bringing me on to use me as a punching bag and yell at me. Well, yeah. I mean, you're propagating a neo-Nazi lie, essentially. I mean, it's just as some kind of medical theory that has been debunked over and over again.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's interesting. There was there was a feeling, a sentiment in the African American community where some people were distrustful of the vaccines. And they put a lot of effort into a lot of African American doctors saying, look, this is a real thing. This is not the government out trying to get us. This is not Tuskegee. This is not.
There's history there. Like,
yeah, exactly. Right. It's not right. It's not crazy to think that because there are examples of that.
Yeah.
But so here, you have the chair of now the 5th largest political party in the United States saying that,
she disputed the fact that she's 5th now.
She disputed the fact that she's 5th.
Yeah. She says she's 3rd, that the LP's 3rd.
3rd behind. Well, I actually just made up 5th. I didn't know that somebody said 5th.
Vermin said 4th or 5th largest political party. She's like, 3rd.
Interesting. Well, yeah, definitely. Craig, it's worth watching the video. I made a little joke and said that I didn't watch it because there was too much Valente on it, but it's everything you think it's going to be. It's Vermin being brilliant,
yes,
Angela being petty and small and foolish, and
we got another clip too.
Oh, good. Let's see more clips.
Yeah. So this is we were talking about the Rage Against Political Impotence rally that she had. We asked her what is woke, and she said cultural Marxism. And then we talked a little bit about her dealing directly with Marxists and communists with this rally. So let's take a look at this. And then at some point during the video that we're showing, she says that there were, none of this is true when we're talking about how white supremacists and Proud Boys in the Charlottesville people were at the rally, and she's like, none of this is true. And we proved that. I knew she was going to say that, so here we go.
Of their country. This was a tiny event. It was small. It was a weird assemblage of Americans. There were Proud Boys there. There were some of the white supremacist groups you'd recognize from the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville a few years ago. Also represented prominently the remains of the bizarre Lyndon LaRouche cult.
I know. Media, right?
A few moments later.
Should be on Putin's side as he keeps invading his constituency. That is our point of view.
That's funny.
So in Russian that reads, "I will make this functional and not embarrassing." But yeah, that immediately she went to attacking the fact that it was Rachel Maddow on MSNBC. Really, MSNBC was one of the few national outlets that actually carried anything from this rally. It was very hard to actually find either just kind of like really bad in-person camera footage or just a quick snippet on the local news about this rally. So this was kind of the longest thing that it did carry, talk about the people that appeared there. The thing that benefits Angela in this whole thing on that whole video is that the word libertarian was never mentioned once. Q was never shown in that video at all.
Right.
So, I mean, thankfully for the Libertarian Party, we were at least on a national stage, we were kept out of this. Even Ron Paul wasn't shown.
Although what's crazy about it is, if I were a good question to ask is, so why was the Russian flag viewed 500 times more than anything that said Libertarian Party?
Yeah.
Who was the actual sponsor of this event?
What is it? The Russian FSB or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to answer your things in the form of a question. You could just say the Russian FSB.
Yeah, that was an interesting video, though.
It's some crazy shit. I'm glad that Vermin's doing it. I feel sad that Vermin felt the need to apologize to people that he had led into the libertarian movement with his campaign in 2020. And, I think about the fact that, Vermin was on the doorstep. I mean, he didn't make it. He didn't make it over the line. And unfortunately, none of the candidates really worked. Well, I think we got the best candidate possible out of Joe. But there was some dysfunction afterwards in terms of trying to get all the candidates who were reasonable to do the same thing that Joe did, which is to increase the membership in the party. I guess at that point in time, things were already rolling. It would have been hard to stop, but it was 2 years later. I mean, 2020 elected a reasonable LNC.
That's what I mean.
I don't know, but I'm glad. I feel bad that Vermin had to do this, but I'm glad that he did it.
Yeah. So I do all this to announce that on Tuesday we're going to have another one, Super Tuesday. So the purpose of Super Tuesday is that Vermin is going to announce running for president again, but he needs a political party. First one with Angela was to see why should he go back to the Libertarian Party to run for the nomination. This week he's interviewing Steve Sheets from the Keystone Party. We know Steve Sheets. We love Steve Sheets. Steve is an awesome dude. And we're happy to see him come on Tuesday to talk about it. I'm pretty sure there's not as much crap that he's put out in the past that we'll have to take him to an account on. But
What
he's a great dude.
Are there any other parties planned? Are you guys doing Pirate Party?
We are doing the Pirate Party. We are going to do. There is a
Forward.
Forward's an interesting thing because I think the official position of Forward right now is to not run a presidential candidate. They're focusing on local office.
They said that too.
Yeah.
I tell you what, mainly because I think it will irritate all the people who don't like to see people in drag. I will dress up as Hillary Clinton and make the argument with Vermin about why he should run as a Democrat.
Well, the plan B that because we were half expecting either Angela just not show up or to dip out early, but the plan B was for me to show up with this.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah, to represent the Libertarian Party.
I mean, you just say all the time, "I'll sue you. I will sue you. I am a legal assistant.
My boobs identify as a legally sane person."
Right. I am a parimutuel legal, and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So anyway, Tuesday night, 7:30 on Vermin Supreme's official YouTube channel. It's also going to be on his Facebook channels, his personal and his official Facebook channels, and a couple other Facebook channels that he manages, and not Twitch because he is contractually obligated to. He can only stream to Twitch when he streams to Twitch, so it won't be there, but it will be everywhere else that Vermin streams, Twitter including. So, all right, Dan. So I reached out and I said, "What should we talk about this week?" And you said being happy.
Yep.
All right. So
So first,
Tell me
sing the
what you
song.
mean by being happy.
Do, 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 do. Don't worry.
Be happy.
Be happy.
That's right.
Don't worry, be happy. Let me ask you a question, Dave.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Here you're a guy, you're knocking on 60 right now. Middle age, because 60 is the new 50. What do you want to do with your life? What do you hope to accomplish in the next year?
Outside of Vaseline wrestling with the entire Swedish Olympic volleyball team, what I want to do is, I mean, you're right. It's about being happy. So doing the stuff that makes me happy, which includes traveling and spending time with my family and my friends and seeing people. Those are the things that I want to do over the next year.
That's good. And let me put it out there to Craig and James and Janice. Guys, what's something you'd like to do in the next year? Go ahead and type it into the chat so we can see it here. And then my question about that is, you're all going to type something different, probably. I mean, I don't expect anybody to say, I also want to travel with Dave, and that's my goal. That's what will make me happy.
More the merrier.
Right. I mean, it would be a fun time.
Maybe we can do a cruise.
But the thing is that our fundamental mission in life, the thing that we want to do, is to be happy. And even the people who want to serve others, to do things for other people, doing that makes them happy.
Chowder.
Clam chowder. Chowder.
Ooh, I'm down with that too.
Chowder. It better be like New England clam chowder, though. If it's that Manhattan clam chowder bullshit, I don't want to hear about it.
I will eat both at the same time.
Well, so, here we have the scenario of, we know that our job is to be happy. Okay. I mean, that's our mission in life. And the question then becomes, are you ever happier when you can't do what you want? Are you ever happier when somebody hurts you? Are you ever happier when somebody takes something from you? And like some people say, oh, my chiropractor hurts me. That's voluntary, right? That's not somebody actually hurting you against your will. And sometimes we do things that we don't necessarily like doing, but we do them because we like what the outcome is going to be. Like, for example, yesterday I went and did a trash cleanup. Was not something that I wanted to do, right? If I'd had a choice, I wish there had been no trash. I didn't have to walk down the middle of the highway in an orange state mandated jumpsuit. And but you call it trash cleanup, I call it work release. But I did it because I wanted to be part of a person who does something to make my surroundings better. And that involves work. And so, I did some work voluntarily, and I felt good about doing that. So we have this thing where we all know that we want to be happy, and we're less happy when somebody restricts what we want to do, when they restrict our choices, when they restrict our ability to spend money by taking things from us. So why do we have a problem communicating that to other people? Why don't other people understand that when you set up a system in which you get taxed, or you can't build a shed in your backyard, or you have to do something with your dog or cat or whatever, some licensing thing that doesn't make any sense. Why are there so many people in favor of those things that we know stop people from being able to be as happy as they can be? How are we failing in our idea of we want everybody to be as happy as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that there's two parts to that. One of them is we're not great at being happy ourselves. Okay. I mean, and that's something that you have to learn. We've all got a lot of baggage and shit that comes around with us where, sometimes if something's going really good, there's a lot of people who feel bad. They feel guilty. They're like, man, I'm doing something wrong here. I shouldn't have this much good feeling. And a lot of times there are some people who don't let themselves have a good time because they feel like, oh, I don't deserve to be this happiness or anything like that. And if we want to have, a better understanding of liberty in the world, a lot of us can make the world a better place by focusing on our own happiness. And this is sort of a tie-in with Ayn Rand. And I like the fact that we've got 6 people here, which means we'll have 7 different pronunciations of how to say Ayn Rand, Anne Rand, Ayn Rand, I'm a Rand, all of those different names. One of the things that she said, and it's often misunderstood and misquoted, but she said, it's good to be selfish. Now, what she meant is that it's not good to hurt other people. It's not good to not share, but it's good to think about your own happiness and your own well-being. Because if you're doing that and you get that taken care of, you give everybody else the same right to do that, to think about their own happiness. And with any luck, a lot of people, their own happiness includes making sure that other people are happy as well. It's that combination of everybody working together, thinking together about being happy and having your own life be better. So that's my thought. The idea that focusing on individual happiness, focusing on our own happiness, is one of the best things that we can do to promote a liberty movement, because we're showing people if you have liberty, you can be happy. So why don't we have it for everybody? Why don't we stop restricting other people's liberty? I feel like I'm rolling over the same points here.
Well, I think here's where I think a lot of people have the issue is that one, there are people who have advantages in this society that want to restrict other people's happiness,
Yeah,
want to be able to, I'm okay with living my life. I don't get that many restrictions on my life because, I've got political power or whatever. But those gay people down the street, they need to be reined in. Or
right.
that kid smoking cannabis down the street needs to be reined in because, you know, cannabis they bought into a lie that, cannabis is some great gateway drug.
Yeah,
I think part of it is education. I think part of it is that our education system has sold that to have a functioning society, that the greater good is to give up some of your happiness in exchange for the benefits of the the
right,
community.
right. The idea that the good of the many outweighs the needs of the few.
Exactly. Which it doesn't. Like, I think the one thing that people don't understand is that happiness is not this finite pie that, if this dude over here is having fun because they're smoking cannabis, or they're in a same-sex relationship or a polyamorous relationship or whatever, or if they're just, planting a garden in their backyard or having chickens, that their happiness is going to be reduced. Now, you can make the argument that, well, having chickens in the backyard, the chickens are loud, it impacts their quality of life of their own home. That is an argument that can be made. But happiness is not a finite pie. Exercising my happiness should not deprive you of your happiness. If it does, that's an issue where we can have a discussion on agreements on what whether we give up a little bit of happiness to help our community.
Yeah, there's a great song that I would recommend everybody find after the show by a woman named Casey Musgraves called Biscuits. And The
Okay.
very first line is, taking down your neighbor won't take you any higher. I burned my own damn finger poking someone else's fire. I've never gotten taller by making someone else feel small. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
Word.
And that's the idea about it. And later lyric, pouring salt in my sugar won't make yours any sweeter. Pissing in my yard ain't going to make yours any greener. That's the fundamental thing about it. And so many people are so obsessed with their own misery that they want it.
They want to replicate it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They want everybody else to have it. And in fact, we should be trying to be in the opposite way. And in addition to celebrating other people's happiness, if you're in a place where you recognize that somebody's trying to sour your sweetness, there's an obligation on you to not let that happen.
Yeah.
No
I mean, like, I don't care if anybody else is happy about doing something. Like, I know there are a lot of people who love watching the Hallmark Channel during Christmas because they help play essentially the same movie over and over again, just a couple of different characters and things like that. I'm not going to say, well, we should ban the Hallmark Channel.
Right.
Like, you do you. You sit there in your own home and watch it. That's great. I only have to suffer with it when I go to my dentist's office. She has that stuff on all the time. So, but I voluntarily go to my dentist's office because she does the best job in the area, and I can
Well,
suffer
and
through.
that stuff is so sickeningly sweet that it gives you cavities. So
That's probably it. Yeah, that's it's self it's job protection for her. Then you got a cavity. Sorry about that.
yeah, you're right. It is. There's so much stuff that people do, part of their own lives, that isn't right for me. It's for their lives. But it's definitely not right for me to say that's not right for you. What
No.
is the scenario in that? And where we get into all sorts of problems is people say, you know what? You've got the ability to do more. You could help the poor. Hey, Jasper, you
Yeah.
could help the poor. You could feed the hungry. So we're going to make you do all of those things. Or, one of the things you hear all the time is nobody, like Bernie Sanders said, nobody should be a billionaire. Right. But we don't know what those people are going to do. And so, as an example, I used to be a special education teacher. And I had a kid in my class. His parents were both professors at Northeastern University, which, for people who aren't familiar with it, it's a good school in Boston.
I got a lot of friends from Northeastern.
Good hockey team as well. They play in
Oh,
the Bean Pot every year.
my Buffalo Sabres are benefiting from that. Devin Levi, their goaltender, is now probably going to be our starter next year. So
There you go.
very much like Northeastern.
So great school. It's nice because it's the school that is in the middle of Boston. It is the most Boston of all the Boston schools. Harvard and MIT are not actually in Boston; they're in Cambridge.
Yeah,
the Northeastern's a great school. Northeastern. Where was I going with this? What was I talking about right beforehand? Help me out, audience.
Devin.
Gosh, I don't know. I completely lost my point.
Sorry
Something
about
about. Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's something about doing your own thing. Northeastern. Gosh, I have no idea what the hell I was going to say.
We're getting more. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the same point that though that we were talking about Hallmark movies and things you don't like to do, but you have to do them.
Well, here's the concern, though. I mean, I know a lot of people, and I think if AJ was on here, the first thing she would talk about is that's all well and good, but right now the government is legislating people's lives, whether
Right.
it's the pro-life versus pro-choice or
Janice brought me back to my point. So I had a student whose parents were both professors at Northeastern. Their student was very severe autistic. mostly nonverbal. He was, when I got him, he was 8 years old, and in depends because they had not been able to toilet train him. And his parents both worked really hard and saved up a tremendous amount of money because they knew they were going to have to pay for their son to have permanent care, because this kid was never going to be able to take care of himself. And they were older, and they had no siblings, anything else, and you can't ask somebody else to take care of a kid with severe autism until you've experienced a child like that or an adult like that. You're not prepared for what the reality of it is. But what you can do is set up a trust fund and have money around and say that, we're setting up the thing so that this kid, in addition to the care that we can set up for him with the state and stuff like that, will have a law firm that their job is to make sure that he's having the best life that he can.
Hey, Carol.
So can you get to tell a family like that it's not okay for them to make $250,000 a year?
Yeah.
They have to pay more taxes? Or should they be allowed to set aside money that they want to care for their child? What if you have 5 children? What if you want to take care of your parents? What if you have medical costs? All those things. It's impossible for people to say, oh, you should spend your money doing this. I mean, that's not true. It's easy for them to say. It should be illegal for them to force you to do it, because nobody knows better than you how you can make the world better. That's exactly it, Jasper. I worked with a lot of IEPs. We've talked about that a little bit before.
Mm.
There's the spectrum. They talk about it. And at the far end of the spectrum are the kids who are just different, nonverbal, frequently not toilet trained. And that's a big thing to focus on, because for an adult, there is an exponential difference in the quality of care that you get if you can go to the bathroom on your own. Adults who cannot go to the bathroom on their own, that is a different world of care. And so here's the thing. There's all these things, though, that you could be spending your money on. And here's another thing about it. Let's just say that I did make $1 million and I decide, you know what? I'm going to use it to work on eradicating hunger in my neighborhood. I'm going to set up food banks, whatever. Why does somebody else get to say, no, that's not good? You have to use that money to support the local school system, or you have to use that money to, bomb Iraq or whatever. What is the rationale for somebody else saying, I can't do the things that I want to make me happy? Because there is, we're talking about Christmas movies. Arguably the best Christmas movie ever made, or one of the best, is Scrooged, starring Bill Murray. And there's a part in it, and he says, if you do that thing, it's going to make you feel good, and you're going to want it. You're going to get addicted to doing that thing that makes you feel good. And if you are allowed to pursue your own happiness and you achieve it, pretty soon you're going to want to share it. Robert Frost wrote this great poem that says that happiness is not additive. The more people you share it with, it's not like if adding one person makes you one person more happy, it's multiplicative. So the more people that you can share happiness with, the happier you all are.
Yeah.
We learn that. It's not something that, you instinctively understand. You learn it by doing it. But we just have to have faith and understanding that in pursuing our own happiness, we learn that we're interested in seeing other people happy too.
Yep.
And nobody's ever happier when you take something from them, or when you hurt them, or when you force them to do something.
Yeah. And right now we're in an age that government has we had gone into a kind of period where, you know, we were freeing up things that were more on the personal spectrum. Cannabis is becoming more legalized throughout the country. Gay marriage was allowed. Trans people were coming out and being more free, and we were, able to get treatment to trans kids earlier. But now we've got a series of governments within the United States, actually throughout the world now, that want to restrict things, that want to deny people their happiness, to deny them making their voluntary choices on how to live their lives. And it's not just, a lot of people say, well, it's the children aspect of it. These states are going after, adults, adults getting access to care. Florida's bill, denying care for religious exemptions, is incredibly insane and dangerous bill. Because I mean, if I was a Democrat or anybody in the state of state of Florida that was a medical provider, and I got angry because this bill, let's say Ron DeSantis pops a gasket and has a heart attack and gets brought into my ER. Minutes were critical to get medical intervention for his health, and I could just say, hey, his political beliefs are, I have a religious objection to his political beliefs, so I'm not going to treat him, and he dies on the table. How do you think that the Republicans in Florida will react if that happens?
Well, it's an interesting question though, because nobody can make you treat him, right? But the thing that it comes under is that in order to be a licensed practitioner, you agree to certain things. And so if you refuse to not treat Ron DeSantis, if you decide to not treat Rhonda, you would probably lose your license, but they couldn't put you in jail. Now, the problem is that we have this whole state set up thing where the state authorizes who gets to be medical providers and stuff. You're going to say that they might put you in jail?
Well, no, this law would prevent the one, losing your license, and two, going to jail for denying care. So that's scary as hell. Jasper, you're right. The government does have too much control, and the spending is reckless. But the exerting that control is expensive. Exerting control over people's lives, and taking the money out of their pockets to be able to enforce that is absolutely part of the issue with government being so expensive. Is that we have, uh, we're trying to use the government to control people's lives that really don't impact us at all. And that's what I think the point of the whole thing here is, that if we're allowed to express our happiness and find our happiness, and that the government should have no role in determining what our happiness is, what we spend our money on go for our happiness, that government spending is going to be a lot less.
Yeah, because why do we have this illusion that the government is responsible for people being happy? Because the government can't do that, because even people like me and Dave, who are pretty similar, right? Our definition of happiness is different.
Yeah.
And there's a provider who's going to try to make us both happy is going to fail, probably fail in both. The only person who can really make you happy is you. And the idea that, first of all, it's just the arrogance, the breathtaking arrogance of saying, I know what makes people happy and I'm going to give it to them. That part of it is just such bullshit. It's elitism in the worst form. And the thing is that the people who don't understand it are the worst, because they're like, yeah, this is what people need. We need to take care of them. That part of it is just terrible. But then on top of it, what happens to people when you tell them you're not responsible for your own happiness anymore? Only we can be responsible for your happiness. That's a terrible place to be in as well.
Yeah.
It's just astonishing. I see Carol's post, Missouri has banned adult care for trans individuals.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I know what that means.
So they can't get hormone therapy. They can't perform. I don't think they can perform the Certain,
So
I don't know how
doctors
many.
cannot give conversion, what do they call it? Gender confirmation
Yeah,
surgery to
surgeries
adults.
or yeah,
See, that's insane to me. That was the thing with the whole Mr. Profenazone, Mr.
yeah,
Mr. Mistopheles, um,
mifepristone.
mifepristone. The idea that a judge could overrule a doctor in terms of whether or not that was somebody's, that's again just the arrogance of it, the double think that people can't make decisions for themselves. And here's the big thing about that. You know, we talk about abortion, and I understand there are truly people of good conscience on both sides of the abortion issue. And
Hmm.
anybody who says there isn't, you are part of the problem because you're not bothering to understand that there are truly people who believe in their heart that abortion is murder, that you are killing a life. They're not doing it to be dicks. They're not doing it because they want to subjugate women. That's their belief.
Yeah,
We got to accept that. But we also have to accept the fact that there are people who don't feel that way. And what we don't have is an overwhelming consensus. An absence and overwhelming consensus. Like, I'm pretty sure I can get 80% of the people to agree premeditated murder is wrong. I'm not saying that in self-defense. I'm not saying killing is wrong. But I'm saying that, saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to go out and kill this person because I want to kill them. That's wrong. We can get 80% of people to agree on that. Until we can get to 80% on an issue like abortion, we don't get to inflict our beliefs on somebody else. We have to have a system where we accept people are doing what makes them happy. And so
hmm
here's another thing about it, right? This for a while, the pro-life movement referred to the other side as the pro-abortion movement,
yeah,
which is bullshit. If you talk to people, most women who've had an abortion didn't want to do it. They felt like it was the best choice at the time. And it's not like, they're doing that because it makes them happy. It's the happiest of a bunch of bad choices available to them.
yep,
And being aware of that, being aware that people are doing what's best for them, even if we don't agree, that's part of that goal of us trying to be the happiest us that we can be and letting others be the happiest them they can be.
exactly. And now I think I'm missing the point that I had. Yeah, by demonstrating your happiness, though, that can change hearts and minds. And that's, I know a lot of people within the abortion movement, the anti-abortion side, that don't want the government to make laws. They want to demonstrate their happiness, demonstrate that making the pro-life choice is a better choice and it'll lead to happier consequences for all involved. That's the way to do it. You know, live,
Go ahead.
be the example you want to set for the world. That's how you
And
want to
what's
do it.
critical about that is there's a phrase for what you're talking about: visibility.
Hmm.
Having visibility of the things you want. And here's where things have gotten really shitty recently: is that there is a concerted effort to shut down the visibility of trans people, to shut
Yep.
down the visibility of gay and lesbian people, to
Yep.
say, we don't want you to see that they are happy in that lifestyle. Because if other people can see them being happy, then they're like, oh, maybe I'll do that too. Here's the real reality of it is nobody knows everything that's going to make them happy. You don't know until you try things.
Yeah.
What you should do is try to make yourself happy. And if you're unhappy, try changing something and doing something else. It's much better to be happy than it is to be unhappy.
And we
Talk about our
and you
primary
see
mission.
and
And
and you see the consequences of not doing what makes you happy.
yeah,
You see the consequences that somebody who is repressing their sexual desires ends up lashing out because they feel repressed and eventually they act on their desires, but it ends up being in the form of rape or child molestation or
Yep.
or just a myriad of bad things.
Yep.
Exposing yourself to people on the streets, living an authentic life that finding what your happiness is, then you're not going to be tempted to do things like that because you're living you found your happiness, you're doing your thing. It doesn't mean that everybody should be gay or lesbian or bisexual or even heterosexual. It's finding what makes you happy or any other activity you can do. It doesn't have to be sexual. We're talking any activity. Find
Now,
what makes you happy and then go do it and pursue it.
now the one thing I do want to say about this too, and I don't know what's wrong with me that I can't make a point without arguing the other side too.
Sure.
But there is visibility is one thing. On the other hand, there are times that people can go too far with that stuff too. And your visibility means being visible in public. It doesn't mean that you get to go and inflict your opinions in other people's private spaces. So, one of the important things, one of the things that's really broken right now is that when we talk about marriage equality, it's important to say no church is going to be forced to marry couples that they don't think should get married, right? We're not proposing laws that say Catholics who, I'm pretty sure Catholics are still against gay marriage. I think even under Francis, he says that we love gay people, but they don't get to be
They don't
married.
get the sacraments. Yeah.
Exactly. I believe that you can be gay and take the sacraments, the Eucharist, as they call it, if you're not doing gay things. And that's actually where the Mormons are too. They're like, if you want to be, if you're gay, fine.
Like at that time or just in your general life.
I think in your general life, I mean, so Catholics help me out here, but I think you can be forgiven and then be in a state of grace. And as long as you're not sinning anymore, then you're good again.
All right.
There's a classic joke. Here goes, right? Father Mulcahy is hearing confession, and he's been in there for a while, and he's really got to go to the bathroom. And he hears a confession, and bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been a week since my last confession. In that time, I used the Lord's name in vain once. He's like, you know what? That's Patrick O'Donnell. That guy, he's so good. When the confession's over, he says, Patrick, you come in here. I need you to hear a couple confessions. I've got to get to the bathroom and I'm going to die. And there's a huge line. So he's like, Father, what do I do? He's like, if it's a little thing, then, a Hail Mary. And if it's a slightly bigger thing, Our Father. And if it's big, then you give them both. And you tell them to come back the next day. And then I'll deal with them the next day. So Father Mulcahy goes off to the bathroom. Patrick hears a confession. First person who comes in says, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It's been a week since my last confession. My boyfriend has really been pressuring me to have sex with him. And I didn't do it, but I did give him a blowjob. Patrick doesn't know what to do. He's like, oh my God, we didn't cover anything like this. He goes and he sticks his head outside and he sees one of the altar boys. He says, hey, what does Father Mulcahy usually give for a blowjob? He says, piece of candy, pat on the head. Unfortunately, you see the punchline coming before I can get to it, but still a classic joke.
Yeah, I posted this week. There was a gay columnist. I don't even know who it was, but apparently the Archbishop of Hawaii had said that children in same-sex couples have a higher rate of suicide. And he said, I think he's mistaken. I think it's the children who are abuse victims of Catholic priests. And he's like, I'm done being lectured about the morality from a church that really has just swept this whole thing under the rug. There's been no accountability from the Catholic Church on the priest issue. They've been really forced into it by the
They
authorities.
never owned up to it. That's for sure. I will say that I think in recent years they've been a little bit better about it, but I also do think that South Park hit the nail on the head. If you haven't seen that episode,
I
that
didn't see that one.
it's a phenomenal episode. I can't
But,
remember the
you
name.
know,
Go ahead.
Illinois just said that there was another, several thousand cases of kids who have been raped, in the Catholic Church, this last week. So, I mean, it's
Is it
again, we're
recent though, or is it past stuff that's
well, I
coming?
mean, it's gonna be past stuff, but I mean, it's I don't know how recent past it is, but still, there are issues within the Catholic Church that they're not a lot of people have been able to escape justice on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of truth to that. Um,
And I grew up Catholic, just full disclosure here, but,
yeah,
uh
so in the South Park episode, just to get into it quickly, I can't remember the name of the priest from their town, but they have a convention of all the priests and bishops and everybody to talk about sexual abuse allegations. And they say, it's terrible what is happening that, all of a sudden, all these kids are coming forward with these allegations of abuse. And the second priest says, yeah, I mean, they used to be quiet about it. What can we do about the fact that they're talking about all this stuff now? They go on like that. And the South Park priest is like, well, maybe we could we could not have sex with children anymore. And all the priest's like, whoa, come on, dude. What are you gonna do?
yeah.
And so there is but to go to that point too, though, again, it's why one of the things we're talking about why visibility is so important and why living a happy life and being seen, being happy helps so many other people because they realize this thing that's making me unhappy, if I could do what that person's doing and pursue happiness in the way that I see fit, that'll make my life better too. So that's, I think, I want to, at least for me, I don't know if you want to say more about it, but close up on that part of it, that our fundamental mission in life, everybody here, is to be happy and, find the thing that makes you happy, the things that make you happy, and accept the fact too that, we quote a lot of famous philosophers here. In this case, I'm going to go with Aerosmith, who
Nice.
says, life's a journey, not a destination. Sometimes you don't know the stuff that's going to make you happy. You only know by trying to travel down those roads. The freedom of pursuing all those things. Aerosmith and Jefferson. I think those are,
There you go.
two on the Mount Rushmores of
Right
happiness.
there.
Jefferson said the pursuit of happiness is happiness itself. It's being able to chase those options that makes it better. And so for us, I think the closing part of this is to say, our mission in the liberty world, in the human world, because the human world is a liberty world, even if humans don't recognize it yet. Our mission is to be as happy as we possibly can and to give that example to other people and to allow them to pursue happiness as well, to encourage them to pursue happiness as well. It's not an obligation. You don't have to make anybody else happy. But if you can, that's great. If you want to support people, but don't get in the way of somebody else being happy.
And it dovetails nicely with the idea of consent culture in that,
Exactly.
I'm doing the stuff that makes myself happy. I'm not gonna force you into doing it. I'm gonna, set my example and live my life, but I'm not gonna force you to live my happiness. If you don't want to, if you want to disengage from me, great. Do your thing. Go off and find your hobby that makes you happy, but um, do it with consent and live your life as happy as you can make it.
Peace.
Word. All right, you ready for the quiz?
Let's quiz it up, baby.
All right, let me hide the chat. If you know the answers to the quiz, CNN's 5 Things Weekly Quiz. This one is a special summer edition. So we got the beach, we've got fireworks,
Summer, summer, summer. Sorry.
we got roller coasters. That might be the debt ceiling right there. Yeah, so beach, fireworks, roller coasters, all that fun stuff. I don't know that that's all that great about context clues, but let's do the quiz. It's not so much news; it's about summer stuff. So,
Right.
all right. Question number one: Memorial Day weekend is upon us. Which movie is considered to be the first summer blockbuster? Star Wars, Avatar, Jaws, or Jurassic Park?
I know this.
I know this too. I think we need a bigger quiz.
Audience, we're going to give you a second.
Yeah, pop the answer in there.
All right. But while we're waiting, you tell me your favorite quote from that movie. Craig got it. What's your favorite quote?
I think we need a bigger boat.
Oh, I think we need a bigger boat. Right. You said it. I got, we got a taxidermy man at home. We're going to have a heart attack when he sees what I brung him. And then the other one is Dreyfus. Mary Ann Moffat. She broke my heart when they're comparing wounds. There's a bunch of great lines in that movie.
All right. Craig and Janice get it. It is Jaws.
Yep.
Released in 1975. Star Wars was 77. Avatar was what? The early 2000s. Jurassic Park was
not that long ago.
95-ish.
Right. But more than that, Jaws is specifically a movie about the summer.
Yeah. To scare the shit out of you. I wonder how much it impacted people going out to the gate.
Huge. And
The
it's
beach trips
so,
and
like you can go back and you can watch that movie today and it holds up.
Yeah.
It's not that dated because like, I mean, the things that really make a movie seem sort of anachronistic, out of touch, stuff like that is lack of cell phones, lack of internet, stuff like that. None of that is really relevant to this movie. High tech wouldn't have changed the way they did anything here.
Yeah. No, it would have made the shark look better, I guess, but the shark was scary enough as it
Shark was pretty damn good.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a phenomenal movie. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Maybe watch it after you go to the beach this summer. But
it's great.
It's a great movie.
Watch
All right,
Robert Shaw is unbelievable in that casting. The casting is so good.
Yeah, casting was great in that movie. All right, question number 2. Summer is the peak season for amusement parks. Where was America's first roller coaster built?
I do not know this.
Cleveland, New York, Detroit, or Seattle?
Want the audience to get in here with an answer.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking out loud. And I mean, New York's got Coney Island, but I have this thing that thinks it's Cleveland because of
I'm thinking Cleveland as well.
Of Kings
we got
Island.
Detroit, we've got New York with a question mark, and Cleveland.
Carol says Cleveland. Yeah, I see Detroit. So those guys are all over the place. You and I are both thinking it's Cleveland. Like you said, that's what you felt.
Yeah.
All right. I think that we should go with that because I also feel like it's Cleveland. I could see it being Coney Island, but I feel Cleveland. I'm worried that we're being fooled because Kings Island is there, but
it's New York.
It was New York. It was
Coney
Coney Island.
Island.
Bastards.
Son of bitch shit.
Craig, you had it. Everybody else was wrong.
Yeah. All right. Not going to go further. This one's going to be a harder one because it is more historical rather than current events. So, but
we got it.
History. When the weather warms up, it's time for a cookout. How many hot dogs do Americans consume each year? And don't look. I know people talk about hot dogs and they say, "Man, you know what's in hot dogs?" I don't give a shit. I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna eat that hot dog. So, 2 million, 20 million.
Specific about the hot dogs that I eat. Like Nathan's is the best of all the hot dogs. I don't have any question about that. And there are other like sausages out there that are not hot dogs, and those are awesome too.
Yeah.
I don't mind a Hebrew National. I don't mind beef franks. But when my sister is a clinical dietitian, and when her oldest boy was born, and I think most people know babies love hot dogs. Early on, it's like a finger food. They can pick them up. She's like, you know what? We're going to give him tofu dogs because he's a baby. And so for, a year or so after he's eating solid food, he's eating tofu dogs and pretty happy with them. And then he's 3 years old and they go to their first friend's birthday party and they have hot dogs there. And he comes running over, Mama, their hot dogs are so much better than ours.
All right. So 2 million, 2 billion, 20 million, or 20 billion. I don't think we get to billion. And it's American. So
But what I think we gotta, because it can't be 20 million, because that would be less than one hot dog per person.
so maybe it is 2 billion.
I think we got to go with 2 billion. If it's
All right.
20 billion, I'm a little worried.
Yeah,
But
because that would be three hot dogs per person for 20 million or 2 billion.
yeah, it's American, so yeah. I mean,
Not everybody eats hot dogs. And one thing I couldn't understand when I was a kid, whenever I threw up, there were hot dogs in there. I hadn't eaten hot dogs like recently. Do they just store up in your stomach? I don't know. Maybe as a kid, I have no idea. Let's do. Janice says Casper.
I've never heard of Casper hot dogs.
20 billion, especially with contests. I mean, yeah, if we're talking about Kobayashi and what's his face, the American dude that's been
Well, so let's
running the table.
let's think about how many hot dogs do you think you eat a year, Dave?
Ooh, I'm probably on the high end.
Yeah, I think I am too.
Um,
I easily
I'd say at least 100.
I was gonna say I easily eat 100 hot dogs a year too. So here's the thing: if it's 330 million people and they all ate 100 hot dogs, then you'd be at 30 billion.
Ooh,
But that's everybody eating 100 hot dogs. So I don't see how that's possible. So I think it's got to be 2 billion.
yeah, 2 billion is what, 6 hot dogs a person?
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly?
We would say let's just say half people don't eat hot dogs.
Yeah.
So
I set the bar high. So, all right, let's do 2 billion.
I'd say 2 billion, even though we got 2 guesses in the audience for
Oh, it is 20
billion.
billion. Oh my God.
That's unbelievable. And I have to say, make America great again. 20 billion hot dogs.
20 billion hot dogs, man. You've done it, people. That's an amazing number. That is an amazing number.
It is.
Yeah, as far as hot dogs, my favorites are either Nathan's or Sabrett's.
There is I do like
You said there's hot dog festival in
New England,
Austin,
yeah.
right?
It's called the Hot Dog Safari. It's awesome. It's $20, all you can eat hot dogs. And there's the 3 main family styles of hot dogs. Boston, New York, and Chicago. Now the Chicago dog is a Vienna beef. It is different.
I do love the Chicago dogs.
Yeah, exactly. It's different from your typical hot dogs. Our friend Steve Seuss recently posted thing as he was driving to O'Hare, and on the traffic sign it said, "No phones, no texting, no ketchup," because Chicago people don't put ketchup on their hot dogs. It's a different animal. But I like the kosher ones. I don't think I've ever had a halal hot dog. But Pearl is good. Hebrew National. I did when I lived there. I liked the Fenway Park hot dogs.
I don't care where you're at in life. If you're at a ballpark,
Yeah.
you eat the hot dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
Be careful with condiments. Sometimes, like my wife we went to a Nats game, and they had like this external to the cellar, like this onion thing.
They have like a
We
public
got
stand.
really sick off that. But I every time I go to a ballpark, I'm either getting a sausage or a hot dog. Ballpark hot dogs are amazing. I
And
remember one time in Albuquerque, New Mexico, at the ballpark there, it was 10-cent hot dog day, and I probably did $3 worth of dogs.
there's I like so cheddar
proud.
cheese sauce on hot dogs is
Yeah,
good.
bro.
I also like and especially at the ballpark, relish on a hot dog is really good. And
Relish, I'm a big fan of onions. I would have probably put onions on the dog that I had that day, except for I got a crab dog.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
and I do like I like onions and I like kraut on a hot dog too.
Oh, kraut's good too. Yeah.
Kraut and mustard I'll do. I like to do them together. A ballpark dog I'll do mustard, ketchup, and relish, pickle relish. And then a chili dog, I'll put onions and cheese on.
Yep. All right. Question number 4. Fireworks are a common sight in the summer's night sky. Which country is considered to be the birthplace of fireworks? Italy, Japan, China, or Greece?
China.
China.
If it's not China and we get this one wrong, I want to stop the quiz.
Wiener Schnitzel. All right. Yeah, I'm thinking China. And we got one. Yay.
Everybody agrees. All right, good.
Most historians credit China with the invention of fireworks around 800 AD, but it was the 1830s that Italian inventors added trace amounts of metals to the mix to create the colorful displays that dazzle us now.
They say blue is the most expensive firework. So next time you watch a firework display, every time you see blue, think, wow,
They
they
spent
spent a lot of money on us.
Drop some coin on that one. All right, question number 5 of 10. Summer is also state fair season. Which state fair is the largest in the United States? Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, or State Fair of Texas?
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, I was thinking Texas, but I know that Iowa's got a big one too.
But I mean, how can that even be close? Texas is bigger than all of those states combined. It has a permanent state fairground, which the others might have.
Yeah, New Mexico's got a permanent state fairground.
But it's
Janice says, well, we got 2 Texas.
two
Right,
Texas.
James?
Carol and I are
Yeah,
biased
Carol.
because we're both from Texas, but
Minnesota from Janice.
it's got to be Texas.
Craig says Iowa. All right, we're going consensus here. We got
Houston is bigger in population than those other 3 states combined.
I don't know about Minnesota.
Yeah, for sure.
Houston's not bigger than Minnesota, is it? I mean,
Houston-
I know it's like 6 million people.
Yeah. All right, hang on. What's Google? No, I could ask ChatGPT, but you know what? I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Well, you
Watch out with ChatGPT. We got a story about that a little bit later.
All right, good. But
Harris County for sure. Maybe even some of the counties that around Houston, like the metro area, I think it's 6 million. Because I've been doing research about possible destinations of the Arizona Coyotes because the stadium vote failed there. Good on Phoenix or Tempe for not bailing out billionaires. But which cities would be the most likely destination for the Arizona Coyotes? Houston's got to be up there because they've got 6 million people there. It's the most closely populated city compared to Phoenix Metro. But there are other cities like Kansas City, Milwaukee, even Austin makes sense.
yeah, and I guess it's true too that you have to say the city population or the greater the DMA.
I always use Metro because the Metro is that's you're drawing in from all those out counties, even though it may be difficult getting into the city.
Yeah,
So you're drawing in from the out counties.
Houston Metro is 7.3 million.
7.3, yeah. All right, so
Minnesota's 5.7 million.
what? I thought Minneapolis is not that. I mean, it was a decent.
Wisconsin's much bigger than I really thought. Wisconsin's bigger than Minnesota.
What?
Wisconsin is 5.8 million, 5.9 million.
Well, I bet they get some of it from the Chicago suburbs, the north side Chicago suburbs.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Milwaukee, and then
Green Bay, Milwaukee. Yeah.
Duluth. Duluth, Minnesota. Never mind.
All right. Well, so now we know. So I still think it's Texas, though.
Yeah, we'll go with the Texas here.
Yeah,
that is correct.
Which that big cowboy, I don't remember what his name is, but
this question is
I think his name
gave me pause.
Big Tex, actually.
Well, the thing with this one is that summer state fair season. Texas State Fair is in fall because that's where they hold the Oklahoma Texas rivalry game.
Red River rivalry.
Yeah, so
I went to University of Texas.
2.5 million visitors through the gates. That's pretty big. Biggest event in New Mexico is the State Fair. It's in Albuquerque. It shuts down. It shuts down life in Albuquerque for about 2 weeks. So, question number 6: watermelon is a popular sometime treat. About what percentage of watermelon is water? 90, 80, 75, or 50%?
That's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
Carol wants to know if you ever lived in Texas.
I lived 7 miles from the Texas border in Portales, New Mexico. Um, I've been to Texas, some of their establishments, sans apparel in Amarillo and Lubbock, but never lived in Texas.
You know, the watermelon question is tricky because if you count the rind, it's a decent number.
But the rind does contain some water.
Yeah, I guess I got to go 90 as well.
All right. What
were you thinking?
I was thinking 80, but I can be sold on 90.
Carol,
What is the percentage of the human body that's water?
I don't know, 75% or so.
Yeah, put it in a blender. That's true. All right, let's do 90. Correct.
Yeah.
92%. That's impressive.
That's the average watermelon.
All right, question number 7. Memorial Day weekend is a great time to hit the beach. Which state is known as the Ocean State? Florida, New Jersey, California, or Rhode Island?
Little Rhodey is the nickname.
Little Rhodey.
Yep.
It is the Ocean State.
And they have a big store there, a chain store called Ocean State Job Lot. And it's like Costco before it was Costco.
Oh, I was thinking it was like one of those day labor sites where you just kind of pull up and pick it up.
It's weird because it sounds like that, but it's hey.
All right. Question number 8. Drive-in movies were a popular summer pastime in the 50s and 60s. When did the first drive-in movie theater open in the United States? 1920s, 1930s, 1940s, or 1950s?
It says it was a popular pastime in the 50s and 60s. So my guess is going to be the 40s.
Yeah. Although I'm sure that there was probably like one open in the late 30s or something like that. That's going to trip us up.
Well, I mean, in that case, then the answer would be the 30s. How do you think there was one opened before World War II? I mean, think about the sound setup.
Yeah. All right. Let's do 40s.
All right. It's rarely the middle, though. Fuck. You were right. This is a terrible quiz.
It is a terrible quiz. Camden Drive-In in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Opened in June of 1933. Price of admission was
before the Hindenburg.
25 cents for the car and 25 cents per person. And that's when they invented kids getting into trunks.
Did you ever go to a drive-in?
Yeah. I've been to drive-in a few times. In fact, I think I saw the first Jurassic Park at a drive-in in Albuquerque.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that late, but certainly up until like the mid 70s, I can remember going to some drive-ins. And it was the one where I went to one where they put the speaker in your window. And then we went to another one where you tuned it on your radio.
Yeah. The first one I went to was speaker in the window. Last one was radio tuning. So,
yeah.
But I still got Iowa.
Stranded at the drive-in. Feeling like a fool.
See, we got people that know. We should be listening to our
What will they say Monday at school? That's from Sandy. Song Sandy in Greece.
Netflix and yeah. I mean, there is something cool about going to a drive-in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the way I would consume all of my movies. But there is that, I mean, for somebody my age, there is that little nostalgic piece of, going to a drive-in movie theater, stuffing like 6 kids in the trunk of your vehicle. Hopefully you don't forget about them and they suffocate to death or something like that.
And then you have to hide the body.
Well, you just put it behind the screen.
But there is
not that I know that
an outdoor experience shared with a lot of people, and that's what's also cool about a drive-in.
Yeah,
you're outdoors, and like Boston, and I'm sure DC probably does this too, has an outdoor summer festival, outdoor film festival in the evening. And the thing is, of course, doesn't get dark until 9 o'clock at night in the summer, but like they would show free movies in Boston outdoors. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. I like drive-in theaters. Again, I wouldn't consume most of my movies there, but it's a fun night out every once in a while. Which of the following is not a celebrated is not celebrated during official summer months: National Barbecue Month, National Ice Cream Month, National Blueberry Month, or National Watermelon Month. Oh man, this is gonna be brutal.
I'm gonna guess barbecue, just because all the others
Well,
really make sense in the summer, but barbecue you can eat year round.
yeah, I'm barbecuing out on my deck in January, so
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah. What
Go
other
for it.
people say? James says blueberry.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Carol says barbecue, barbacoa.
BBQ.
BBQ. And Janice says barbecue. All right. Let
Right.
us do the barbecue. Correct. May is National Barbecue Month.
It's right on the
Me
cusp then.
well, and that makes
Oh,
sense
Hody
because
Johns knew it was May.
yeah, May is barbecue month. Yeah, I don't pay attention to a lot of the months. I mean, like the only month that I know is coming up is Pride Month coming up next month. But um, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Show us your meat, man. I want to
It's
put your meat in my mouth.
it's interesting. I tell you what, one of my minor pet peeves is the people who call cookout barbecues.
Oh God, yes.
Those are not the same thing.
No, if you're cooking hot dogs and burgers, that is a cookout.
That's a cookout.
If you're smoking meats, if it takes a lot of effort to get that reward of meats, that is a barbecue.
Yep. Yep. I agree.
All right. 10 of 10. Which holiday is considered the unofficial end of summer in the United States? Flag Day, Independence Day, Labor Day, or Veterans Day?
It's Veterans Day.
No.
What?
Tis Labor Day.
Is Labor Day?
Yeah, Labor Day is the official end of summer because
Oh,
usually that's when kids start going back to school
yeah, you're right.
in the Northeast.
I agree.
Kids are already in school in August, most places now, but in the Northeast, a lot of kids don't go back to school until after Labor Day.
I think you're right.
And I've got James and Carol backing me up on this one.
Power to the people, Labor Day.
Word. Labor Day is a day to honor and recognize Americans' labor
7 out of
movement.
10. We got better at the end. It was
Yeah,
crazy there for
not
a while.
not bad. It was a little rough there. I mean, there are some questions there that were tough, like drive-ins. I mean, yeah, I knew it wasn't the 50s when they said it was popular in the 50s, but knowing how far back they went, what else do we? Oh, the hot dog one. We underestimated Americans. I feel bad for that.
By a factor of 10.
Yeah, that's
You know,
tons.
I blame AJ for that.
Yeah, AJ. If AJ was here, she would
She's probably
probably
watching.
not know that either. But
Wouldn't even tune in.
yeah,
Salud.
love you, AJ. Okay, so let's go to the news of the week. Um, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has been impeached and will face Senate trial. Of one of the people in the Texas Senate is his wife.
Yep. Put us back to big screen.
What's that? Oh yeah, let
Put
me
us
get that.
back to big screen.
Stop sharing. There we go.
Yeah, his wife is on the Senate, and it's crazy that she hasn't said whether or not she will recuse herself on the vote. We have such a complete moral failure right now in this country, and
Yeah.
it's not in the way that people think about. It has nothing to do with who's getting married to whom or who's having, affairs or what books are in schools or anything like that. The moral failing is people not recognizing what is the right thing to do in scenarios. This ties in, at least for me, into the Clarence Thomas thing. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if that was on the list or not, but Clarence Thomas has been accepting all this free
It-
stuff. And he's like, oh, I don't think it was wrong. Dude, you're the fucking Supreme Court justice.
And
You
he had a
should
case
never-
before you.
Yeah, you should never do anything that could possibly affect your bias.
Yeah.
And here's the same thing. There shouldn't be any question as to whether or not she would recuse herself. Of course she would.
Yeah. And I think she's actually implicated in at least one of the charges. So, I mean, she at the very least should be recused.
Well, yeah, because so first of all, he paid for her campaign costs out of money that he raised with his campaign. Now that's legal in Texas, but he also had a whole bunch of affairs, which pretty publicly documented. But she pulled the Tammy Wynette and stood by her man.
Yep.
In fact, campaigns on how great their marriage is, and it's just stupid.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to turn out in the Senate. The House overwhelmingly voted to impeach him. A lot of Republicans voting to impeach him. Um, I don't know what the sense of the Senate is. It does help him that his wife is a member, and it does. She does stand to benefit. One thing I will say about the West Virginia legislature is that they do have a very strict requirement that if you're in a class greater than 5 or a class less than 5, if anything comes up before the legislature, you have to announce it on the floor, and then the either the Senate president or the House majority leader will, or the House Speaker will let you know whether you're allowed to vote on the issue or not. Um, that's the way it should go. I think the fact that she's been named in this indictment and that she is a member of the Senate, she absolutely has to recuse herself. But again, I don't know what the sense of the Senate, if they're going to view the actions of the House, because it really went from Ken Paxton is, political power player in Texas on Tuesday, and then by Thursday he's impeached, and it was very quick, trial, or not trial, but at least investigation that they said this guy needs to go. Um, he's been kind of an embarrassment in Texas. Has been an embarrassment in Texas. So, let's see. Report last House Speaker Dennis Bonnen, the last legislative succession. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what's going on in Texas as far as their politics, but yeah, I mean, um, we'll see what happens with Ken Paxton, because had been seen as kind of that, if Abbott ever steps down, it's probably the next logical guy to move into the governor's mansion. He is a hardcore Trumper. He sued to have the election overturned. Donald Trump has been tweeting his love for Ken Paxton the last few days. So this will be an interesting story to follow here the next few weeks as the Senate goes into session. The cool thing is that he is suspended pending the result of the uh, the um, impeachment trial, and then the Texas governor, who's a piece of shit in and of himself, will get to name a interim AG, or I don't know if he's done that already, but Dade Phelan. Oh yeah, appeared to be intoxicated. I remember that Paxton was hitting out at him, that the current House Speaker appeared to be intoxicated during a session. I don't know. I can't blame somebody.
Kick them all out.
Yeah, absolutely. Vote them all out.
Yep.
Other news this week: there has been a tentative debt deal reached by the Biden administration with Kevin McCarthy. Again, don't trust this until it's actually voted on and passed.
Yeah, because
we've already heard some people coming out against.
Yeah, we know the Freedom Caucus is going to vote against it, or
Yeah,
whatever they call themselves now, because they're not really the Freedom Caucus.
No,
in the Senate,
they're the caucus.
Right. They're the block caucus, cock blocking caucus. The but we also know the progressives, the squad, isn't going to vote for it either.
No, I mean, it's
So-
going to have to come. They're going to have the centrist vote. I think there are some Democrats that will come over to offset the Republicans.
I actually don't know. Is there a MAGA Republican in the Senate? Like Lindsey
I mean,
Graham? Lindsey
Rand
Graham.
Paul. Rand Paul. I mean,
Maybe.
Ted Cruz has subordinated himself to the MAGA cult.
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham. I mean, yeah, there's a chance for a filibuster.
I think Lindsey Graham will vote for it.
Yeah.
But Well, filibuster.
Again, if you get enough Republicans, you only need like 10 Republicans, and the Democrats want to get this out because I don't think they really want to go into the whole default situation. So they're wanting to get this out. I know that I don't think they're that happy about it at all. And the particulars that we've heard are that they're going to freeze spending at 2023 levels, which we're already spending more money than we take in. Not going to help the debt ceiling, and that the debt ceiling is uh, unlocked until January 1st of 2025. So essentially, they're just kicking it past the election.
Right. I mean, that's the sad thing about it too, is
This
that
is purely political.
it's not that they actually lifted the debt ceiling. They said we're going to pretend the debt ceiling doesn't
Doesn't
exist.
exist.
So we can spend as much money as we fucking can in between now and January 25th.
Yeah, both sides are going to want to, but I mean, they did say they're going to cease to 2023 levels. I don't think that's going to happen. Um, I think that as we get closer to the election, you're going to see House and Senate spending money to buy off their electorates to bring home the bacon and all that fun stuff. So,
I can bring home the bacon, fried up in the pan.
what was that, Anjali?
Never, never forget you're a man, because I'm a woman. Anjali. Exactly right.
Oh my God, that's a trip down amnesia lane.
I wonder if, well, I mean, there's a popular song, Woman First, that came out before that. And the commercial took that song. But I am intrigued by the idea that MGT, AOC, and Lorena Bobbert are all going to vote the same way on this.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, it's this pisses off and kind of gilds the wingnuts of each party.
Yeah. Lorena, formerly known as Bobbert, I guess we should say.
Yeah, former Bobert.
Bobbert.
All right. Lawyer fucks around with Chat GPT and finds out. Apparently, a lawyer in New York submitted a case. It was discovery essentially, and the response from the lawyers cited several cases that did not exist. There was lots of questions about what was going on here, and one of the lawyers revealed that they had put in this case into ChatGPT to derive their response, and ChatGPT just made up some shit, just like several different cases that of case law that just don't exist. And I don't know exactly if they're going to get sanctioned. I'm sure they're going to get sanctioned some way by the judge, and who knows, maybe even the bar. I mean, that it's kind of a dangerous precedent that you're using ChatGPT to that could impact a legal case.
I mean, to be fair, you can easily have a paralegal
Review.
do that same thing, and most lawyers wouldn't know. They don't check their paralegals' work either.
No.
But, what are you going to do?
Yeah. But in this case, if it's a lawyer and they've used ChatGPT to do this, if a paralegal does it, you can throw the paralegal under the bus. But in this case, it's the lawyer that's going to have to go under the bus.
Right. If I were the lawyer, I would have said, it was my paralegal, Your Honor, and I have fired them.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, you could use ChatGPT. I don't say that you can't use ChatGPT to do your job, but just like with anything, check the work. Make sure that the facts that they state are facts, and that don't take it for 100% gospel, because ChatGPT even says when you start generating stuff that mistakes happen, and so don't trust it 100%.
And that is a sort of deep level analytical work that AI just can't do right now.
Yeah.
It's as much as we like to talk about it, it can't do stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a very interesting story. I laughed at it. I saw Nick Sarwark posted it the other day, talking about the dangers of using ChatGPT. Again, I'm not saying that ChatGPT is a bad thing, but if you are relying on it to do something that you're sending out for public consumption, like if you're a kid doing your term paper and using ChatGPT to write it for you, read it over, fact check, make sure everything's in there.
Yeah.
Run it through a plagiarism type site to make sure that it wasn't plagiarized. I mean, that's the scary thing is that this stuff can be generated, and you pull a bunch of stuff, and now you're on the hook for plagiarism. And essentially, you really think about it, it is kind of like a plagiarism. You're using someone else to do your work. Um, there is an ethical bad area that I think is going on here, but we'll have to determine going forward, especially in the realms of academics. But Chat GPT and things like that, helping you do research, combining world resources that can provide you stuff to provide for your research. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it's the same as using like an Encyclopedia Britannica or Wikipedia, although Wikipedia is kind of a gray area when it comes to research, or even the databases, the legal research
Yep.
databases.
Yep.
I mean, those things are expensive. If you're a college student, if your university doesn't have a subscription to some of these databases, it's an expensive thing to get access to those databases. So, and then final story this week: Henry Kissinger avoiding eternity in hell is turning 100.
Pretty amazing. I mean, that guy.
It's proof that karma doesn't really exist.
He is Mr. Realpolitik.
Oh yeah.
They did some pretty terrible things to the North Vietnamese.
And
Well,
Cambodia.
you said all the Vietnamese, but
Well, in Cambodia,
the idea of the
much
Christmas
worse.
Day bombing.
Yeah.
They dropped more bombs on North Vietnam than were dropped in all of World War II by every country. Pretty crazy that time period. There is a great book. Do I have it close by? I don't. Called The Price of Power by Seymour M. Hersh. Seymour Hersh has just recently gone off the deep end and said some super crazy things. I'm trying to remember what they are right now.
Yeah.
He's got some controversy going on. But back in the day, he was a tremendous author, and he wrote a great biography of Kissinger. Really, Kissinger in the Nixon White House. And, there's some interesting stuff there that happened that was good. Nixon went to China. Kissinger had a lot to do with that. Sort of the opening up of that relationship.
Hirsch alleged that the U.S. blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, which I mean, possible, but
Right. Yeah, he probably doesn't know, but you're right. I mean, that's not super crazy.
No,
There's something else he said that was super crazy, but maybe that's it.
it's probably related to Ukraine and Russia and
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you know what? I don't wish for anybody's death. So
I don't, but I won't mourn Henry Kissinger.
yeah, product of his time too. You look at that foreign policy in that area, and all Americans thought our job was to make the world better. That sort of elite arrogance that we were talking about.
Yeah.
That we know better the American way.
By making a lot of people's lives either disappear or a lot worse.
Exactly.
I mean, Cambodia is still dealing with, and Laos are still
Landmines.
dealing with the issues that his foreign policy have brought. People are still getting blown up randomly, or they're finding bombs in the middle of fields that people are tilling, and
Yep.
yeah, it's not a great thing. Now he's really kind of played the senior diplomat. Last week there was, he was in Lisbon, Portugal for the Build-A-Bear conference. So he's still active. That's pretty remarkable.
Bilderberg, right?
Huh?
Bilderberg.
I call it the Build-A-Bear conference.
Gotcha.
Makes it sound a lot softer and fuzzier. and it 100. So I don't have an issue with the Bilderberg stuff. Like, I don't think it's this massive conspiracy. It's just a bunch of rich dudes that want to get together and do their thing, and talk in private. I get that. I don't think that it's the new world order or anything crazy. It's just rich dudes who want to be uh, do their thing in private. So
Yeah. The
I
one
don't.
the one interesting thing I'll say about it is that you can complain all you want about Kissinger and stuff like that. The guy is clearly still active and alert.
Yeah, 100 years old. That's pretty remarkable.
Yep. So people who want to, you can aspire to that. I mean, obviously, it's a good genetic package as well, because it's
Yeah.
not like he was a health nut or anything like that. But
No, he's not the healthiest looking dude in the world. Never has been. So,
he made it.
all right,
Well,
Dan. Give us
good
like, share, and
show.
subscribe on YouTube if you're on YouTube or Facebook. Thanks for joining us on channels. We've got many more channels going now. We got Facebook, we've got YouTube, we got Dan's YouTube, we've got Let.live, we've got
Liberty 101,
Liberty 101. Actually, that one didn't come up.
didn't it?
Or
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure we're on there though. Well, so what I want to say, next week, I won't be here.
okay.
I will be at my high school reunion, my 38th reunion. Very
30.
exciting. Looking forward to it.
Nice.
But you guys have a good time without me.
We will. We will. AJ will lead us on in the quiz and make sure that we get perfect scores to show up our performance this week. So, but anyway, yeah, if you're on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, give us a like, share, subscribe, get the word out there so that more people join us and we can have more conversation during the show. The show is nothing without you all. And again, we appreciate Hody, Carol, Jasper, Janice,
James,
and Craig. Definitely for giving us some comments during the show tonight, participating in the quiz and everything. So, thanks everyone for joining us this week, and we will talk to you all next week on the Political Deep Dive.
say goodnight,
Good night,
Gracie.
Gracie.